Hi everyone, you're welcome back, friends. Alright, so friends, today we're going to be talking about the if function here in Excel. Basically, friends, if you can remember vividly when we were talking about the Excel formulas, I made reference to what we call the logical statements here in Excel, and I told you that we're going to be talking about the AND function. We're going to be talking of the if function. We're going to be talking of the OR function, and we're going to be nesting the if and OR function together. Alright, so friends, basically, friends, usually one want to query a set of data or want to set a particular condition upon which a particular function should operate, and we can use the logical statements such as the if function to do such. Alright, so for example, in this particular case, we have two different tables over here with two different questions. Alright, so the first question is telling us to return true if the sales by the segments to different countries below have met a minimum revenue of $200,000, otherwise return false. In other words, the remark here over here, if our revenue target has been met, which is 200,000, if it has been met, we want the value to return true. If not, we want the value to return false. Alright, so in other words, in this section over here, we're expecting a value true to be returned, and here we're expecting false to get returned over here. Alright, so basically, friends, that's basically what we want to do right now using the if function. Alright, so once Excel to look at the various segments, right, or the various total revenue for these different products or the segment that sold the products, and then check if the minimum revenue of 200,000 has been met. Alright, so friends, without wasting much of your time, I'm just going to delve into this and show you how we use the if function. And the next thing we're going to talk about is the if and OR function. Then we'll talk of the if and function. Then we'll talk of the nested if. Alright, so friends, without wasting much of your time, let's start with the if statement. So I'm just going to double tap on this cell and say equals to if, and then I'll open my bracket. Now, friends, the first thing I want to do is to check if this particular logical statement has been met. In other words, what I want to do is to check if this revenue over here is equal to, right? Now we say the minimum have met the minimum revenue requirement. So we are trying to test if it is either equal to or greater than. All right. So we are going to say equals to or greater than. All right. Or let me do it this way. Sorry, greater than or equal to a particular target, which is this cell. And trust me, I have to lock this cell. Right. So I have to say function and then say F4, the way we do lock this cell. All right. So check if this revenue over here is greater than or equal to, right, the particular target. All right. So now if that condition is met, if that logical test is satisfied, then we want you to return the value true. If not, I'm expecting it to return false. All right, so that's basically what we want to do right now, friends. So if I click on enter, you can see over here it's telling me false. Telling me this condition have not been met. This particular condition which is specified over here is not met by this particular test. So if I run down, you see this is also going to tell me false. Now if I just run down to the end of the table, you can see some sections we have true. For example, in this case we have true, because our revenue target was met, or it was even exceeded. It was surpassed. So we got true. Alright, so friends, that's basically how we use the if function. Basically, when writing the if function, the first thing you should understand is that the first thing you're going to impute into the if function is going to be the logical test. In other words, what are you trying to test? What condition are you trying to check if it is true or false? And then the next thing is going to be to return a value. Alright, you're going to specify what value it should return if the condition is met. And then the last thing you're going to do is, if that condition is not met, what should Excel do? You have to tell Excel or specify what Excel should do if the condition is not met. Some other thing, you can change this thing to whatever you want to write over here. You can type whatever text or whatever strings. Alright, but I just left mine as true or false. Alright, so you can do whatever you want to do over there. Alright, so friends, the next thing we're going to talk about is the second question. It says to return the segment, alright, comma, country as remarks if the sales by the segment to different country below have met a minimum revenue of 200,000. Alright, so we are going to return the segment, comma, country as remarks if the sales of the different segment of different country below have met the minimum revenue of 200,000. So basically what it's telling is that we have to use a concatenation over here. I believe in our previous video I have taught you about concatenations. Alright, so friends, what we want to do right now is, if a particular condition have been met, right, what we are expecting Excel to do is to return join. For example, in this case, this has not been met. Alright, so we are expecting Excel to leave this cell blank, right? Because in this particular question we are told that otherwise we should leave the cell blank. So we are going to leave this cell blank. Now in this case where the condition is met, we are expecting Excel to return a value as remark, and what we are expecting Excel to return is going to be government, comma, Germany. In other words, return the segment, comma, the country. Right? So, and you can see that these two things exist in different columns. Right? So if we are going to return them as one in one cell, and we have to use the concatenation. Right? So friends, without wasting much of your time, let me just show you what I mean over here. Alright, so I'm just going to double tap into this cell, and I'm going to say equals to, type in the if function, open up my bracket. Now what am I trying to test? I'm trying to test the logic, and the logical test I'm trying to check if it's is true is that we are trying to check if this particular revenue, we've done this before, is greater than or equal to this particular amount, right? Or let's say this particular amount. Let me just use this. Alright, so now what I'm going to do right now is lock this cell, use my function and then F4 to lock this cell. Alright, so now that I've locked this particular cell, friends, I just put a comma sign. Now my logical test has been specified. Now the next thing Excel is going to ask me for is the value if true. Alright, so what value should it return if it is true? Now this way I have to use my concatenation function to specify it. Alright, so I can, the last example we did, we just wrote true, right, to return the value true if it is true. Alright, but in this case, wants you to return both the segment and the country in that particular cell if it is true. Alright, so what I have to write now to say, I'll say concatenate. You can see Excel pops it up for me over here. So I just say concatenate. Now what two texts am I trying to concatenate together? I want you to concatenate one, the segment, as the question already specifies, comma. Alright, now I need a comma sign in between the segment and the country just to differentiate them. So I just put a comma sign inside the quotation, then I put space. Right, I open a quotation, put a comma sign, then click on my space bar, then I put another quotation. Now what that's going to do is that it's going to write the name of the country, put a comma sign, give it a little space, then it's going to write the name of the country. Sorry. Okay, so what it's going to do is that it's going to then type the name of the country. So that is comma sign. Now that we are done with the second text, so comma sign, then I click on country. So it's going to write, this is going to be the segment, comma, then a little space, then the name of the country. Alright, so that's basically what this concatenation function is going to do. Remember, I can write the function over here, I can write it on the function bar, whichever way you want to do that. Alright, so now that I've concatenated it, I can just close my bracket. Alright, so now I've told Excel what to do if that value is true. If the value is true, I want you to concatenate two strings. And this is what I want you to concatenate. If you've not watched our video on concatenation, you may really want to go and watch how to concatenate two different strings in order to come back to this video, and then you'll be more proficient and you understand very well, vividly, effectively how we are working with the concatenation over here. Alright, so what should it return if the value is false? I don't want it to return anything, so I just put double quotation without anything inside of it, and then I close my bracket and I click on enter. Alright, so friends, you can see over here the condition is not met here. Alright, and so the formula does not return any value. The condition is not met here, and the formula doesn't return anything. But over here the condition is met. We are expecting the formula to return something, and see over here it's returning the country and then the segment and then the country. You can see over here we have the segments for this condition. For this case is government, and then the product was sold in Germany. And now you can see over here we have government, comma, Germany, alright, which is what we specify. So I just come to the bottom right and then drag down to the end, and here we go. Alright, so for the cases where the condition is met, Excel is returning the right values for us. Alright, so friends, that's easily how we can use the if function to specify for Excel what it should do if a particular condition is met. And these are what we call the conditional statements here in Excel. We call it the logical test or conditional statement. Alright, so friends, without wasting much of your time, I would just like you to just delve into your worksheet and then practice the if conditional or logical statement. And then in our subsequent or next video, I'm going to be showing you how we can work with the if and or statement, right, and then the if and statement. Right, so friends, without wasting much of your time, I'd like you to practice what you've learned.